Sometimes the feds or the federal government asks me, what can they do to help us? And my answer to them is, don't let this happen. Don't let this happen.
Hawaii's plan to deal with the unlikely event of a nuclear attack from North Korea was explained to Big Island residents on Tuesday.
The picture shows one of his intermediate-range ballistic missiles that are solid fuel and launched from vehicles.
Hawaii Emergency Management Agency Administrator Vern Miyagi presented a slideshow during the Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce luncheon at the Hilo Hawaiian Hotel. He walked through the protocols that would be triggered the moment the state learns of a threatening missile launch.
This was about an hour before the press conference. So he launched another missile, the longest range missile that he's ever launched. So again, it's in our face. We can't ignore it. So our premise is that because it's there, we cannot ignore it and act like it's not going to happen. It's there. We have to address it.
It was also one of Miyagi's first talks since the nuclear attack warning siren was tested on December 1st.
How many of you all heard the sirens? How many of you could tell the difference between the steady tone and the wailing tone? Okay. There are gaps. There are gaps in this that we have to work out. I know Talmadge has shared with me many times about the siren gaps we have here, but keep in mind that the sirens that were here originally were tsunami sirens along the coast, not many internal, so we have to work that. The other point was that we had to verify that we could trigger the sirens with one push of the button at the state level.
Some people have said the likelihood of the use of force in a conflict on the peninsula is at 40%.
Meanwhile, the United States continues to seek a diplomatic solution to the crisis with North Korea.
So we need the DPRK to come to the table for talks. We're ready to talk anytime they'd like to talk.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson gave an update during a speech at the 2017 Atlantic Council Korean Foundation Forum.
In the meantime, our military preparedness is strong. Because of the situation, the President has ordered our military planners to have a full range of contingencies available, and they are ready. As I've told people many times, I will continue our diplomatic efforts until the first bomb drops. I'm gonna be confident that we're gonna be successful, but I'm also confident Secretary Mattis will be successful if it ends up being his turn.
Tillerson further detailed the latest attempts at diplomacy during the question and answer session that followed.
We're ready to talk anytime North Korea would like to talk. And we're ready to have the first meeting without precondition. Let's just meet, and we can talk about the weather if you want. We can talk about whether it's going to be a square table or a round table if that's what you're excited about. But can we at least sit down and see each other face to face? And then we can begin to lay out a map, a road map of what we might be willing to work towards. I don't think it's not realistic to say we're only going to talk if you come to the table ready to give up your program. They have too much invested in it. And the President's very realistic about that as well. And so it's really about how do you even begin the process of engagement, because we're dealing with a new leader in North Korea that no one's ever engaged with. And he clearly is not like his father, nor is he like his grandfather. And we don't know a whole lot about what it will be like to engage with him. And that's why I think my expectations of how to start are really framed around, first, I have to know who my counterpart is. I have to know something about them. I have to understand how do they process, how do they think. Because getting to an agreement, as all of us know in negotiations, means a willingness to talk about a lot of things. Let's just put a lot of things on the table. And what do you want to put on the table? And we'll tell you what we want to put on the table. And the important thing is that we get started. If there was any condition at all to this, is that, look, it's going to be tough to talk if in the middle of our talks you decide to test another device.